Okay, so now I am getting ready to install the engine. Okay, so got the flywheel bolted on, as well as the clutch assembly stuff. Everything is on the engine that needs to be there. All grounds are checked and stuff like that. Let's see. One thing I did have to do with this harness is repair this connector right here that goes to the ESS sensor. And one of the wires was just like popped right off the connector. So I took the connector thingy off of that harness and then used those heat shrink solder thingies and then wrapped them up so they're nice and protected and stuff like that. The wire's tucked underneath this little guy right here, so it should be okay. If not, I do have an extra S2 harness that came with that other S2 engine I picked up. But yeah, this is how it's gonna go into the car. Just time to get this moved out of the way, get this off the stand, and get it ready to pop in the engine, or in the car, not the engine. That's the engine, that's the car. That engine is going in the car. Yeah, that's how it works.
3 hours later.
Okay, so after a lot of annoyance and just trying to get shit to fit, she's in. And I'm just starting to connect stuff up and whatever. Seems like a lot of stuff is going in easier than it came out. See, when I was taking the other engine out, actually damaged that a little bit, but that's also because I was using my leveler thing, and it doesn't work so well in here because the engine goes down and then back instead of like the SA where it could just come out, up. So yeah, but anyway, just getting all this shit sorted and whatever. I don't have the header on yet. That's actually over in my storage, but I have the engine mounts on just so it can at least sit there, whatever. Then when I put the header on, then I'll just jack up the engine with a piece of wood under the oil pan, and then I'll be able to put that on. Then everything will be connected. Then I'll just be assembling the intake and just putting stuff where it goes. I don't think that I'll be able to do a first start today, but probably the next day or two. I don't know. We'll see. And yeah, almost back on the road. Yeah, so this is probably going to be my stopping point for the day. I'm not 100% sure yet. I did go pick up my stock header from storage, so that's ready to go in. But right now, I'm going to put the oil that I'm going to use for initial startup and break-in and stuff like that. So I'm using 10W30, even though it's summer and it's average above 70 degrees. This is just for initial startup. And then I think for the first 1,000 miles, I'm going to use the same, not this exact same oil. I'm going to do an oil change right after the initial startup. But yeah, I'm using this just because it's a lightweight oil, and yeah, so this should do fine. Okay, so here's pretty much the stopping point that I'm just going to leave it at for tonight. Pretty much everything is more or less assembled now. Everything's where it needs to be. The only things that I really need to do is install the stock header, and I'm not putting that aftermarket one on. There's some things I just don't like about it, and including fitment and sound and stuff like that. There's no real benefit to it versus stock, so putting that back on. Let's see, and because the rear iron, I blocked off the port that has the line going to it, there's nowhere for this to connect to now. And let's see, that and over there goes to the throttle body, and it's pretty much just a throttle body heater thing. It's supposed to help with low like freezing temperature warm-up times and stuff like that. But when I blocked this off, it was, I think, the middle of winter, and I noticed no significant warm-up times or anything like that. So there's literally no benefit to keeping it on there, and it heavily reduces intake temps. So there's something there. But because there's nowhere for that to connect to, I just filled it with JB Weld, and I'm going to let that cure for about 24 hours. Then I'm going to put a a poly cap with a hose clamp on it, and that should be good to go there. See, my coolant temp sensor, I decided to relocate it to the radiator because there's a port for it there, and that means I got to reroute this signal wire for coolant temp. Oil temp, I decided to put it in the oil cooler hot side. So this line goes directly to the front cover, and that's hot engine oil coming out and going directly here. Initially, I didn't want to put it on the oil cooler because, of course, it's a cooler. It's meant to cool. But with hot engine oil going directly here, I should be able to get accurate temp readings right there. So there's something there.
The next day.
Okay, so it's about that time, and everything's just about buttoned up, and see, I believe everything is where it needs to go. Let's see. Yeah, so for the water, I'm literally just using distilled water, and the only reason for that is because after initial start, or probably sometime tomorrow when I have more coolant, actually, I'm going to drain this out, and I'm only going to do that to flush the coolant system because there's crap inside of the coolant passages and stuff like that, so it'll just kind of clean it out. Let's see, I'm going to do an oil change right after this, right after initial start, just to get all that crap out of there. I don't have a new filter with me. I'm just going to take that one off. There is literally 50 miles on that filter, so that should be okay until I do my 300-mile oil change after this initial startup and the first oil change. And yeah, let's hope this goes well, because well, charging system in the SA kind of took a shit. The alternator tested good. I thought the alternator took a shit, but it tested good, so I'm kind of worried there. So I'm kind of out of a car right now, so I need this to work. Fingers crossed. Rotary problems. Okay, so gonna go ahead and go for the first start. We are in neutral. Oh yeah, one thing I really needed to check was that main fuel line. Okay, it does not appear to be leaking, so that's good. All right, let's go for it. Okay, there oil pressure goes. Well, she's running. All right, go ahead and reinitialize the windows. Okay. Oops. Sorry, neighbors. So I got to do this for at least 30 minutes. I do it for 40 to 45, but 30 is going to be the limit. But I got to let it idle undisturbed for a bare minimum of 20 minutes, so it resets fuel trims and does all that stuff. And then of course, the whole initial startup and kind of run in, but it seems to be okay. This started up a lot easier than the half-ass Killer Bee did, and yeah, there she is running. Make sure it's not leaking fuel anywhere. Make sure it's not leaking down here anywhere. Oh, it's leaking something. not sure what it is leaking. I do see something dripping. I believe that is water. Yes, it is water. Okay, thank God. That's for me spilling the water up here. But I also should be filling the water up too. But just gonna let it run for now, and get up the temperature, of course, run in for like 30 minutes, shut it off, change the oil, and then run it a little bit again, check the oil, make sure that's topped off, and then should be good to go. Well, there she is running. Oh, actually, hey, smoke cleared up. Nice. It didn't really smoke all that much. Yeah, she's running, and yeah, I did it. Yay. Okay, so that sensor is starting to read, but it's very, very inaccurate. So the fan is just barely kicked on, and with the RX8 Performance fan control kit, they come on at about 195 degrees, and obviously it's nowhere near 195 degrees, and it's supposed to shut off around like 175. Actually, that's exactly when it shuts off. And yeah, so I'm gonna have to get my money back for that sensor and order the correct sensor, or a good one, whatever. But still no hiccups. It's fully warmed up, and one really big concern I had was that the possibility of a slight miscalculation or measurement of the side sills, where I clearance them all to 4/1000ths, but let's say I was told if it's way too tight, or if they're incorrectly clearanced or whatever, that it would bind up, just like that cheap S2 engine I picked up. What happened to that, where the side sills just binded up? But that probably happened upon startup, because when you close the keg, squish the side sills. And but let's see, if you measure them correctly, but you don't do it correctly and it's way too tight, it'll heat up, and then it'll just bind, and then there goes your engine. But this is fully warmed up, so side sills should be expanded to where they would normally be expanded at, and yeah, seemingly no issues. So once I get through this initial startup, do the oil change, I might take it for a first drive tonight. Maybe. No, probably should, because I gotta take my daughter to school in the morning. Yeah. Well, that sure looks cleaner and if I do say so myself. Oh yeah, a lot of the oil's still like in the back of the pan, so it's gonna do that. Yeah, that's some really clean looking oil. But then again, it is brand new oil. I just put it in today, and it was only running the engine for 30 minutes, 35 minutes. Yeah, we gotta lower the car so I could drain the rest of it.
The next day.
Okay, so I probably should have recorded the second startup. It started up literally on a dime, within like not even a split second. But yeah, taking my daughter to school, and this will be the first drive of this car with this engine. And yeah, I really gotta do something about that light. That's annoying. No check engine light, but that's because I have a lot of the codes removed for the air pump and the rear O2 sensor and stuff like that. So had I not bought Mazda Edit and got rid of that, well, that would be there. But gonna let it warm up a bit, and then take it for a first drive. Okay, so going for the first drive. Gotta get used to that clutch again. Yeah, going from the... Oh, that's gonna be a learning curve. Going from the really soft pressure plate in the SA to this really stiff XDHD pressure plate. to drive this car, which isn't very many. I don't let people drive my cars. I have a real hard time not stalling out this car, and I almost stalled it out putting it in reverse. Now, because this is a break-in period, I can really only drive normally, and by normally I mean cruising between 3,000 and 4,000 RPM, shifting at 4,000 RPM, and not ever going higher than that. Because if I go higher than that on a regular basis, I mean, once or twice might be okay, get away with that, but going over 4,000 RPM and just romping on it or whatever right out the gate, that's the difference between a 161,000 mile engine and a maybe 30, if you're lucky, 1,000 mile engine. So first drive is now complete. I met the Mazda dealer to pick up a new filter, and let's just hope hot starts aren't too terrible right out off the bat. But it'll be interesting to see what it's like at 13.3 miles after I get out of here. Okay, first hot start, so hoping and praying. Let's see what it does. Well, damn, that's a really good hot start for 13.3 miles on a fresh build or rebuild or whatever. Yeah. Okay, so this clip is actually being recorded a couple days after that last one, and so far I put about 100 miles on the engine, and it feels absolutely phenomenal to drive. I think it has a lot to do with the really tight side sill clearances of exactly 4 thousandths across all of them, promoting consistent compression across all 6 spaces, and also the addition of the matching 04 to 05 auto front and rear counterweights. So better balance, Mazda spec balance, but still better balance than just popping on a rear counterweight and just sending it like I did with the other motor. And yeah, so even though I only spent like $600 building this motor, rebuilding it or whatever, I don't think I could pay a shop to do a rebuild and expect the same result. I do honestly think that this is better quality than a brand new engine or something that I would get from just some rotary shop somewhere. So yeah, you don't have to break the bank just to get a good result on a engine rebuild or build or whatever. And I think I made my point very clear on that with both the Have-Has Killer B and now my Renesis engine. So that's gonna do it for this video, and yeah, got about 900 miles more to go, and yeah, then we need to get that car on the dyno and see what it does. And I have some other stuff in store for that too, but I will get into that when I'm at that point. But I'm gonna say a week and a half from now, I should be able to finish up braking and go from there. All right, see ya.